very next second, I dropped judgment of that human being. The first time in my life I was able to do that. There's something to that vow. I'm going to live with this person the rest of my life. I'm just going to stop judging and accept that person for what they are. So it seems like you're giving a little short shrift to this vow, which is a spiritual vow. And I know for myself, it allowed me to taste unconditional love. Even though that person wasn't the perfect person, or the perfect person for me, or my ideal person, I was able to let go for the first time. That was the positive thing for me in marriage.
What we call marriage, there are very many aspects to it. I was referring to the social element. Because the vow thing is not what is seen as a universal form of marriage. But if we address the vow thing, my view is that our allegiance is to God, to truth, love, beauty, and not to a person. So as long as the vows, whatever these vows are not to a person, but to consciousness, that's fine. But if they are addressed to a person, and if we give this our allegiance to a person, it is there is a perfume of ignorance there. It doesn't prevent us from being married, but I think the marriage is a structure that has been established by society to as a building block of society. So it's one of many possible structures. When we look at it, there are civilizations in some Pacific islands where, for instance, the role of the father is played by the brother of the woman. And these are matriarchal structures. And the woman goes with different men, but the children are raised by the brother. The brother goes with different women. So, and in fact, these structures have maintained themselves, and perhaps these societies are not as aggressive as our cultures. So, I see marriage as one possible solution for societal solution for human societies, but not necessarily the only one. because societal structures have to adapt with the conditions. They are not cast in stone. So to make it an absolute, it's like our Puritanism about sexuality. Why is it the case? It comes from tribalism, of course, and the necessity, the purity, it comes, let's be blunt about it. It comes from a form of racism. If you think about it, right? To maintain the purity of the race, to maintain the purity of the tribe, to maintain. If we look at it with some kind of objective eye, so a lot of moral taboos are not from they were practical, and they still have a practical reason. I'm not saying we shouldn't respect these taboos. You see, I'm not saying that, because we live in a society. But at the same time, our intelligence allows us to give these elements their due place in the hierarchy of things, and to see them for what they are. Convenient and often intelligent systems.
And spiritual too. Promoting spirituality. When I made a vow, I ceased this incessant prowling for the next sex partner, the more beautiful, the more this and more that. I ceased it. And it was a huge distraction in my life. And so my life turned more to a spiritual direction because of marriage. And both of us, God is the center point of our life. In different ways, she has a different path. But
to answer this question, for me, it's different. I think the good reason for the desire to look around somewhere else, to stop, the good reason is because we are satisfied with what we have, and not because we have promised at some point in the past to be faithful, because then, to me, that feels like we are twisting our true feelings, You get married, what if he or she turns out to be a jerk? And I have preached allegiance. I mean, come on. And if your desire to look around for something better is very much in order with the situation you find yourself in. And both of them, because they may be both very good people, but just misfits. So there is a lot to be said in favor of divorce. You see? And then these things that have to be said in favor of divorce, of course, there is a conflict with this preaching allegiance forever.
Yeah, I'm not hung up on forever if something happens, But the vow released me from some illusions. It helped me. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not making an absolute about a vow.
Yeah. But I feel that the best way to have a stable relationship is to be in a good relationship, with or without marriage. You see, if you're in a good relationship, you're satisfied. It's like if you like this type of food, right? You keep eating it. Now, at some point, you eat some kind of food and it doesn't taste good, and then you are sick all night. You don't eat it again.
And the children?
Well, my experience as a several divorced person is that it's much better for the children to be raised knowing that they have two parents who both took care of them and loved them, and who are separate, and rather than being raised in a house with all kinds of conflicts that remain. The worst are the conflicts that are not said, and what happens at the kitchen table when there is this lack of love and that is taught to us, to them, because then they think that's the only way to be with people, and then they will perpetuate that in their own relationships. I've asked my children, adults, one of my child is 50, the other 40, the other 30, so they are all adults. And I've asked them, did you feel in any way damaged by the fact that we were divorced? And they told me not at all. I mean, it was clear who our father was, who our mother was. Besides, at school, the majority of the kids were in my case. In other words, they were children of divorced parents. So I don't think that divorce in modern society is as big a deal as parents who don't take care of their kids. That's a totally different story. It's better if a child has two houses to go to, and wherever he is in one of these houses, there is harmony. Hopefully there is harmony in both. But already, if there is harmony in one of these, that's already better than to live in one single house without harmony. Of course, the Pope disagrees with me. But we disagree on many things, so I'm not worried too much.